also ace. But I thought I'd play something now that's ancient and strange, like myself in that regard. And it's because a few weeks ago I was playing a record by a band called Creation Rebel, and they'd hauled from the archives the booming sort of baritone of Prince Farai, who's a Jamaican rock stone voice sort of chanter guy who was shot and killed at his house in September in 1983 during a robbery, as happens so often in Jamaica, sadly, with lots of artists over there have fallen that way. But lots of people wrote in before the song even finished going, who is this guy? What's the story? Who is Prince Farai? So I thought I'd play I mean, he's put out a bunch of solo records that I really rate, and he was also part of a loose collective called Singers and Players, whose Staggering Heights record from 1983, the same year he died, was reissued recently. So I thought we'd play something from that to me is marvellous on so many levels, one of which is because it's a very weird little short story, like a history lesson set to a dub soundtrack. And when you first hear it, you go, he's just invented all this. But it's about, the song's called Bedward the Flying Preacher. And Alexander Bedward really did exist. He was like a charismatic preacher of Jamaican revivalism, and he founded a church called the Jamaica Native Baptist Free Church in the 1880s, and started to gather huge, congregations of followers because he purported to be able to, organise mass healings, and he became a bit of an anti-establishment hero with sort of black power messages. And he had a congregation at one stage of about 30,000 people, but he more and more over time lost the plot. And on New Year's Eve in 1920, when he was in his 70s, he told his followers that he'd been called by the Lord to fly up to heaven. And on the appointed day, he dressed in these sort of pristine white robes and sat in a wooden throne balanced high up in a tree. And he told his followers, his ascent to heaven was going to hasten the rapture, after which they would all be free. And people waited around. Thousands turned up to see the ascension, whether it would take place or not. And people waited around all day, and Bedward himself kept revising the time that the Lord was going to scoop him up because nothing happened. And eventually he climbed down from the tree around midnight and went home. And his supporters, of course, were deeply disappointed, but his critics took great delight in ridiculing him. And this song is probably part of that tradition, because Prince Farai imagines him trying to fly and falling down and dying, like falling off the tree and breaking his neck sort of thing, which wasn't what actually happened. In the end, Bedward was arrested and sent to a mental asylum where he remained to the end of his life, and he died in 1930. Incarcerated, but he was for a big deal in Jamaica for a while. But yeah, so that's the epic story. You don't even need to hear the song now.
We
might as well go home.
I mean, we might as well not bother playing it, except we will, because I have to say I'm a real sucker for a song that is a story. So I'm going to be very interested to hear this one.
I love how sardonic it is too, because he goes, Bedward fell from the building top and break his neck. Of course he can't fly, which just cracks me up every time, even though I've heard this song for 30 years. So I'll leave you with this, Bedward the Flying Preacher.
Grant Smithies, thank you very much.
All right, thanks, mate.
This is a true story from my Prince Bara. A very true story about a man called Bedward. Bedward was not a man cussed badward, but he sure would. Bedward used to conduct a church in Jamaica. In Jamaica they call it mission. Bedward preached to all the members of his organization that he going to fly next week Sunday. He going to fly. People from his organization tell it to other members, and people all over the end of Jamaica, that this man Bedward is going to fly. Well, one Sunday afternoon, this was the time when this man Bedward want to fly. Bedward, That was his name. So people all over the ends of Jamaica come to see this man Bedward fly. So Bedward went up on a house top, a very high top of a building. People looking now to see Bedward fly. The appointed time come that Bedward should fly. Guess what happened? Bedward jump off the building top, brother, and break his neck. Bedward! Bedward jump off of the building top and break his neck. Bedward, down in Jamaica. The man who used to operate a church. Down in Jamaica they call it the mission. True story about the man Bedward. The man will never curse bad word, but him show a lot of word. Bedward! 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 Bedward give out a lot of invitation to people, telling people that he going to fly. He don't have no wing, but he going to fly. Bedward! Bedward! Poor fella. Him never cuss bad word, but him show a lot of word. And that was the man called Bedward. 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 Down in Jamaica, them call him Bedward. Them call him Bedward. Man will break him neck one Sunday afternoon. Several people stand to see Bedward fly, but Bedward didn't fly. Bedward went down and break his neck. Bedward. That's the end of Bedward. That was the end of Bedward.
And that was Bedward, the Flying Preacher. Prince, Far Eye, singers and players, and the album Staggering Heights.